Unexplainable Connection, the finale. As the service continued, Mboti struggled to focus, her mind swirling with thoughts of Nir and Bandile. She prayed for strength, hoping for some divine guidance to navigate this complicated situation. After the service ended, Bandile tried to engage her in conversation, but Mboti's thoughts were elsewhere. She kept glancing around, hoping to catch a glimpse of Nir, but he had made sure to stay out of sight. Bandile, sensing her distraction, frowned but continued to pretend everything was fine. Nir, on the other hand, was filled with conflicting emotions. He wanted to be with Mboti, but seeing Bandile there had thrown him off. He felt hurt and confused, unsure of his place in Mboti's life at that moment. Mboti gathered her boys and left the church quickly, her heart heavy. She needed to talk to Nir, to explain what had happened. As she drove home, she felt so lost, not just because of Bandile's unexpected appearance, but because she hadn't been able to see Nir. She hoped he would understand and give her a chance to explain. Once home, Mboti settled the boys with some lunch and found a quiet moment for herself. She pulled out her phone and sent Nir a text. "I'm sorry about today. Can we talk later?" As she put the phone down, she reflected on the morning's events. It slowly dawned on her that Nir had probably seen Bandile approaching their pew and decided not to sit next to her. The thought pained her, knowing how uncomfortable it must have made Nir feel. She needed to clear the air and reassure him. Nir, meanwhile, was sitting in his living room, his thoughts racing. When he received Mboti's text, he was tensed. He wanted to understand her situation, but the sight of Bandile had stirred up so many questions. After a moment of contemplation, Nir replied, "Yes, we need to talk." Mboti felt relieved as she read his response, knowing she would have a chance to clear the air. She prayed that their bond would be strong enough to withstand the challenges they were facing. Later that evening, after settling the boys in bed, Mboti found a quiet corner of the house and called Nir. He answered on the third ring. "Hi," she began, her voice soft and sincere. "I'm really sorry about today. I didn't know Bandile was going to show up." Nir sighed, his voice steady but carrying a hint of sadness. "I understand, Mboti. It was just unexpected." "I know," Mboti replied, feeling the weight of the situation. "He just came out of nowhere. I'm trying to figure out what he wants, but it's complicated." Nir nodded, though she couldn't see him. "I saw how he interacted with the boys. I guess they missed their father, especially Bonolo." Nir chuckled. "I guess God has answered his prayers." Mboti was quiet for a second, but then reassured Nir. "But I want you to know that you mean a lot to me. I didn't want today to happen like this." Mboti took a deep breath and decided to open up. "Nir, my marriage to Bandile dissolved over 7 years ago. It was a difficult time, but I have healed. Bandile showing up now saying he wants to make peace and come back has been unexpected and confusing." Nir listened intently and Mboti continued, "But I need you to know that ship has sailed. I've closed that chapter of my life and I'm ready to move on." Nir appreciated her honesty. "I care about you too, Mboti. It's just seeing him there made me question where I fit into all of this." "You fit into my life, Nir," Mboti said firmly. "Bandile is part of my past and I need to deal with that, but you're my present and I hope my future." Nir's heart lifted at her words. "I want that too, Mboti. I just need to know that we're on the same page." "We are," Mboti assured him. "I want to be with you. I just need some time to sort things out with Bandile. He's the father of my children, and I have to handle this carefully." Nir took a deep breath. "Okay, I understand. I'll give you the time you need, but please, let's keep communicating. I don't want to lose what we have." "We won't," Mboti promised. "Thank you for understanding." They talked a little longer about lighter topics and shared dreams, slowly easing the tension. By the end of the call, both felt a renewed sense of connection. As they hung up, Nir felt more optimistic about their relationship. Mboti felt a sense of peace. Nir and Mboti's relationship deepened, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. They decided it was time to make their relationship known to their children. Nir would tell Noam, and Mboti would talk to her sons. When Nir sat down with Noam, he spoke gently. Noam, there's something I want to talk to you about. You know Mboti, right? Noam's eyes lit up. Of course, Dad. I like Mboti. She's been helping me a lot with my homework when I stayed with her and her sons. I already told you her food is so delicious. Nir laughed. Noam continued, I like playing with her sons, especially Bonolo. He's fun. Nir smiled, relieved by her positive reaction. Well, Mboti and I have been seeing each other. We care about each other a lot. How would you feel if we were together? Noam beamed. I'd love that, Dad. She is beautiful and nice. It would be great. Meanwhile, Mboti gathered her sons in the living room, taking a deep breath before she spoke. Boys, I have something important to talk to you about. You know Nir, right? Arno looked wary. Yeah, we know him. What about him? Mboti continued. Nir and I have been seeing each other, and I wanted to know how you all feel about it. Arno's expression darkened. Mom, we don't need another man in our lives, especially not now. I don't want you to go through the pain you went through with Dad. Bonolo looked confused. But I want Dad around. Malin, trying to be diplomatic, spoke up. I'm okay with anyone who would make you happy, Mom. Mboti sighed, understanding their mixed reactions. I know this is hard, and I want you to be honest with me about how you feel. Nir is important to me, but so are all of you. We'll take this slow and figure it out together. Arno crossed his arms, clearly unhappy. Just don't get hurt again, Mom. Mboti nodded, trying to reassure him. I promise, Arno. We'll be careful. That evening, Nir called Mboti to see how things went. She shared the reactions of her sons. They're not all on board, she admitted. Arno is very protective, and Bonolo misses his dad. Malan is supportive, but it's complicated. Nir understood. It's a lot for them to take in. But we'll take it slow, like you said. We'll show them that we're serious and that this relationship can be a positive thing for all of us. Mboti felt comforted by his words. Thank you. I'm glad Noam is okay with it. She likes you a lot, Nir said, smiling, and I'm determined to make this work. For both of us. And for our kids. Weeks later, Nir invited Mboti to dinner at his mother's house. When Mboti arrived, she felt very nervous, but Nir noticed, kissed her on the cheek, and held her hand to help her feel comfortable. As they sat at the dinner table, Abigail scrutinized Mboti closely, observing her eating habits, the way she chewed, and how she picked up her wineglass. Despite Abigail's critical gaze, she couldn't find any fault with Mboti, who carried herself with elegance and grace. After dinner, when Abigail took her empty dishes to the kitchen, Mboti followed with the remaining dishes. In the kitchen, Abigail asked Mboti probing questions about her background, family history, and parents' educational levels. Mboti answered respectfully, aware that she might not be fully welcomed due to her family's educational background not meeting Abigail's standards. She wasn't offended, but feared history might repeat itself, as Bandili's family hadn't welcomed her in the past. When Abigail and Mboti rejoined Nir in the family room, Mboti sat apart from Nir, but he moved to sit closer to her. The rest of the evening was spent laughing and discussing life events, news, and cultural heritage. At the end of the night, Nir walked Mboti to her car, and they kissed goodnight. Nir watched as Mboti drove off, then returned to the common room. Abigail, though impressed by Mboti, expressed concerns about her being a single mother of 3, cautioning Nir to take the relationship slowly. Months passed, and Nir and Mboti worked hard to integrate their families, facing each challenge with patience and love. However, the tension with Mboti's eldest son Arno remained. He struggled to accept Nir, fearing for his mother's happiness and their family's stability. One evening, as Nir and Mboti were preparing dinner together at Mboti's house, an unexpected knock at the door interrupted their quiet moment. Mboti opened the door to find Bandil standing there, looking serious and confrontational. Mboti, we need to talk, Bandil said, his tone firm and unyielding. Nir felt a surge of protectiveness and stepped forward. Is everything all right? Bandil glanced at Nir with disdain before focusing back on Mboti. I've been thinking a lot, And I realize now that coming back will be a great thing for the boys. I don't want a stranger. Moved his gaze towards Nir. Raising my kids. Mboti's heart sank, knowing where this was heading. Here we go again. The boys are adjusting perfectly without you, Bandil. Don't you get it? Don't try to use our children to come back into our lives. Bandil's expression hardened. Adjusting? You mean they're being forced to accept some outsider because you're too emotional and needy to keep our family together? We've been divorced for less than 8 years, and you're already jumping into another man's bed. I thought your mother raised you better than this. Mboti's eyes flashed with anger. Don't you dare bring my mother into this, Bandile. Bandil smirked, knowing he had hit a nerve. What happens if your new lover boy doesn't meet your needs? Maybe discard him with an allegation of abuse like you did to me, Mboti, then look for another man to warm your bed. Nir, who had been standing by silently, felt his temper flare. He stepped forward, his fists clenched. You've said enough. Mboti placed a calming hand on Nir's arm. I got this, Nir. Don't let him get under your skin. I dealt with this for more than 12 years. I know him too well. She turned towards Bandil, her voice steady and resolute. Hello, Mr. Toxicity. Gone are the days when you could say things to trigger me to lash out. I see through your manipulations now. I know you need to heal, and I'm praying you find that healing. Bandil's face contorted with rage, but he was momentarily speechless. Mboti's calm and collected demeanor caught him off guard. Arno, having overheard the conversation, ran downstairs with anger. So, you're just going to dictate what we can and can't do? You hurt us. You hurt Mom. You don't get to decide who makes her happy. Bandil looked at Arno with mischievous smirk. Is that what she has turned you into? Her barking dog? Arno took a deep breath and responded, No, she hasn't, because she can never be like you. Do you have any idea what it was like going to bed every night, hearing my mother cry uncontrollably because of your cruelty? You seem to enjoy every moment of it, and you're back again to continue from where you stopped. Mboti tried to calm her son down, but Arno wouldn't be soothed. He continued, You think I was just a kid? I remember all the hatred you had for me. You thought you were raising another man's child. Mboti was shocked and in disbelief hearing this. She had never realized Arno knew that Bandil had demanded a paternity test when Arno was 5 years old. Overcome with emotion, she held Arno's hand, pleading with him to calm down. Please, Arno, don't be angry at him. Arno turned toward Mboti, his eyes filled with pain and frustration. Why are you even giving him the time of day? Why do you keep letting him back into our lives? Arno then turned his gaze back to Bandil. The farther you stay away from us, the better. You can't fool me with your fake love, because you never had any to give. You can't give what you don't have, and as far as I'm concerned, you're dead to me. Bandil's face hardened, and he stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. But before he could say anything, Nir moved swiftly between them, blocking Bandil with a stern warning. Don't even think about it. Bandil stopped in his tracks, the intensity of Nir's gaze making him hesitate. This isn't your business, Bandil muttered. It is when it concerns her and the boys, Nir replied firmly. You've caused enough pain. It's time for you to leave. Bandil looked from Nir to Mboti and then back to Arno. Realizing he was outnumbered and unwelcome, he finally turned and walked away, leaving a tense silence in his wake. Arno turned toward Nir and said, Just so you know, we don't need a savior. With that, he made his way back upstairs. Nir stood there, absorbing Arno's words. He knew that Mboti had been through a lot and that her sons were fiercely protective of her. He understood that earning their trust would not be easy, but he was determined to show them that he genuinely cared about their mother. Mboti, sensing Nir's resolve, gave him a supportive smile. Thank you for stepping in. I know it's complicated. Nir nodded, his eyes reflecting his commitment. I understand. I'm here for you and the boys, no matter what. I'll do whatever it takes to show them that I'm not here to replace anyone, but to be a part of your lives. Meanwhile, Nir's mother had been watching the relationship develop from a distance. She had her reservations about Mboti, But after seeing how happy her son was and witnessing Mboti's kindness and dedication to her family, she decided to reach out. One Sunday after the service, Nir's mother approached Mboti with a warm smile. "Mboti, can we talk?" Mboti nodded, a bit apprehensive. "Of course." Abigail took Mboti's hands gently. "I can see now how much you mean to Nir and Noam, and how happy you make them. I was wrong to judge you without knowing you. Can we start over?" Mboti smiled, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. "I'd like that very much. Thank you." Their conversation was interrupted by Brenda and Laura, the pastor's wife, who approached with supportive smiles. "Is this a bad time to interrupt mother and daughter in love bonding time?" Brenda sarcastically asked as they all laughed. "We've got your back, girl," Brenda said firmly. "Whatever you need, we're here." Laura nodded in agreement. "You've shown incredible strength and grace. We'll continue to pray for you and support you in any way we can." Mboti felt surrounded by love and support, with her friends, Nir's mother, daughter, and her children by her side. She felt ready to face whatever came next. Spring of 2023 began to bloom. Nir and Mboti took their children on a weekend trip to a nearby nature reserve. It was a beautiful day, filled with laughter, hiking, and bonding. They were finding their way as a blended family. One evening, they all sat around a campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. Nir noticed Arno sitting a bit apart from the group, lost in thought. He walked over and sat down next to him. "Arno, do you have a moment?" Nir asked gently. Arno shrugged. "Sure." Nir took a deep breath. "I know it's been hard for you, and I understand why you've been protective of your mom. She means a lot to me, and I promise I'll do everything I can to make her happy, but I also want us to get along." Arno looked at Nir, his expression softening. "I've seen how you treat her. You're a good man. It's just hard to let go of the past." Nir nodded. "I get that, but maybe we can find a way forward together." Arno gave a small smile. "I'd like that." While Nir was still talking to Arno, Bonolo ran over and tugged at Nir's sleeve. In his soft-spoken voice, he asked, "Can we play Go Fish?" Nir smiled warmly, feeling a surge of happiness. "Yes, Bonolo," he replied. As Nir walked hand in hand with Bonolo, he felt grateful that Mboti's sons were warming up to him. When they sat down to play Go Fish with cards, 2 more players, Mboti and Noam, joined them. The atmosphere was filled with joy for both Nir and Mboti. Every smile and laugh came from the depths of their hearts. Mboti had never imagined finding love and happiness again after her dreadful marriage, but Nir was ready to take their relationship to the next level. He had no doubt that Mboti was his soulmate. The rest of the evening was filled with laughter. As the night wore on and the boys and Noam fell asleep under the stars, Nir and Mboti sat together, holding hands. The fire crackled softly. Nir whispered in Mboti's ear, "I love you." Mboti looked into his eyes as she replied, "I love you too." She was emotional, tears of happiness in her eyes. Nir leaned in and kissed Mboti, a tender and loving kiss that spoke volumes about their journey and their future. The end.